In many ways, Sierra Club goes back to its roots. John Muir, of course, founded the Sierra Club, and over 100 years ago, because of his abiding appreciation of nature and the need to protect nature. We haven't lost those core values in any way whatsoever. But here we are now in 2021, and the world has changed a lot. And of course, nature has always been within a dynamic and changing and evolutionary mode. That hasn't changed at all, but it's accelerated. The change has accelerated over time. And what we found at the Southeast Iowa Sierra Club is that we too have to change to remain relevant to what's happening around us. And as such, we've spent much of the last year reevaluating what our priorities should be in this changing world, this rapidly changing world. And of course, we know that much of our work is defined now by the need to address climate change and continue to build a more resilient community and place that we live in response to these changes. So we at Sierra Club have spent quite some time now really reflecting on where we are and what do these changes mean to us and what do they mean to Sierra Club. We developed a new strategic planning process during the 2020-21 time span to reevaluate where we are and what our role ought to be. We wanted to be very focused on those issues that are most relevant to, of course, Sierra Club, but also to our community and the area that we serve as well. So as we did, we engaged in a new strategic planning process. We identified 4 priority strategic planning areas. The first, of course, is building a more resilient community in the face of climate change. And then all of the 4, what we call thematic areas, are very much related to this. The other areas that we have focused on and are focusing on for the next foreseeable future, at least 3 to 5 years. The second area is renewable energy. And how do we start to set some standards and targets for converting over to renewable energy, both within our community but also in our region here. The other area, the third area, is wildlands. How do we protect our wildlands? Of course, this is very much at the core of what Sierra Club has always been about. But now we look at it in a different context. We look at it in the context of this changing world, in the context of climate change, and also having had the COVID experience. Wild places mean even more to us as human beings, as we found out that we need to interact with nature for our own health and well-being. But we've also looked at from a climate standpoint, the value of protecting these areas or managing wild areas so that they continue to function naturally and provide the ecosystem services that are important to biodiversity and also to us as human beings, and also to addressing climate impacts. And the fourth area that we've embraced is zero waste. And we find that there's an important need to look at the entire chain that creates all the waste that we have in our society, but specifically looking at it here in Southeast Iowa. Whether you think of it in these terms or not, zero waste is really important to tackle if we're going to be tackling climate change, from our consumption to the manufacturing of plastics to where they end up at the end of the line. And what this one-way avenue of waste has created in terms of discharge of solid waste in the landfills, discharge of methane, discharge of poor water quality into our systems. So it's important that we look at zero waste. So these are the 4 areas that we're working on: building climate resilience, protecting our wildlands, moving towards renewable energy, and zero waste. Now, what we found is that these are sort of the priority areas for the Sierra Club, Southeast Iowa Sierra Club. But if we're going to build a resilient community, we need to broaden our what we call our umbrella of resilience. And so we've spent much time, most of the last 6 to 8 months, going out to the community and listening to all different sectors, sectors that we normally wouldn't have interacted with, to understand what they think resilience looks like and what our needs are in this community to build a resilient community, what we should be addressing. So we've spoken to educators, we've spoken to the business community, we've spoken with the Farm Bureau, we've spoken with as many sectors as we could embrace, and realized that this umbrella needs to expand, this umbrella of what a resilient community looks like. How have we done that? Well, one is lots of one-on-one meetings. It's a good way to really be able to listen and learn. We haven't been about so much just telling other people what we're doing, but listening and hearing how we can partner with them on building this resilience model.